Welcome to the Strength for the Day podcast, which is a daily Bible study with Dennis Fountain. We hope this time together will be challenging, sharpening, uplifting, encouraging, and strengthening to your Christian walk. Thank you for joining us, and we pray you are helped through today's study.
Well, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Strength for the Day. And I am thankful to have Michael joining with me again, and I would have him repeat what he recently said about our podcast, but I will not have him do that. It was really funny though, so you'll just have to ask him.
Well, and I won't use the same phrase, but by the time this episode airs, I will be on the backside of having my wisdom teeth removed.
Yes.
So
hopefully you don't come out dumb.
Yeah. So I'm hoping the next few episodes. If you let me know, if the episodes take a tank.
That's exactly what he said. It's different. Yeah. Anyway.
It'd be great.
We are in the book of Hebrews, and we are going through right now Hebrews chapter 11. Of course, this is the Hall of Faith, and there's so much here. Yesterday, we kind of just dove into, I guess, really maybe an introductory episode for this passage, talking about what faith is, and I love the idea, and I know I said it, but just the idea that faith is relinquishing control, and that is a big part of it. And so we looked at three characters yesterday. We looked at Abel, at Enoch, and at Noah. And today we pick up in Hebrews chapter 11 and verse number 8. So, Mr. Coming off of wisdom teeth surgery, why don't you read verse number 8?
Let's do it. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place which he would receive as an inheritance, and he went out, not knowing where he was going. And by faith he dwelt in the land of promise as in a foreign country, dwelling in tents with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs of him of the same promise, for he waited for the city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is God.
So this really is just going through now remember, the author is writing to Hebrews. They would know who Abraham, the patriarch of their faith, patriarch of everything they believe. Yeah. So they know the story. So all the references that maybe could be uncommon to you and I at times would be very common to them. So what the author is doing is just rehearsing the story of Abraham. Well, what happened with Abraham? Well, God called him. God just said, Abraham, pick up and move. Well, where to, God? A place that I will show you. Okay, well, where's that? Well, just go.
Right.
Then I'll show you.
Yeah.
And that's the story of Abraham. You go back to the book of Genesis and read it. And I don't know if you've ever taken a trip like that. Have you ever seen those trips where you pack and you show up at the airport and they give you an envelope? Have you seen that?
Oh, no.
It's like a new vacation thing. There's actually programs that you can do where you sign up to go to an unknown destination. You don't know where you're going.
It could be good, it could be bad.
It could be hot or cold. They tell you dress for warm or dress for cold.
Okay, gotcha.
And then you get somewhere and they give you a vacation.
Here's the North Pole.
Yeah, so it costs you some money, but
yeah,
I don't know if I would like that.
Well, yeah, you like to know where you're going.
I want to know what's going on.
Exactly.
I want to plan. So that's where Abraham, I can connect with this.
Yeah.
It took a lot of faith.
Yeah.
And that's what the author is pointing out, that faith he obeyed when he was called.
Yeah. I like what he says before we move on to Sarah, that he looked for a city.
Yeah.
Which has foundations, whose builder and maker is God. There's just so much in there.
There is so much there.
Number one, it reminds me of a great song.
Looking for a city. It's two different keys.
Yeah, no.
It's horrible.
Sorry. Get in.
I started. You should have come with my key.
Well, I was doing the actual tenor version.
Fine.
No. But yeah, no. The truth there, though, is a great song. But is he looked for a city whose builder and maker is God. Abraham was a little bit of a nomad.
Yeah.
He was, in the land that God, but then he was, down in Egypt, and he's back, and, that land was going to be his inheritance to his people, and obviously the promises, but the Bible says he looked for a city. And I think there's an aspect where he knew more than I think we give him credit for.
Yeah.
There was a promise that he was looking for. Jesus said it very plainly, Abraham saw my day
Yeah.
and was glad.
See, but
You
I
know,
think that's that
so,
faith aspect of
it's
it.
like for sure. It was all faith.
Yeah, he just believed it.
Mm-hmm.
Like God said, I'm going to make a great nation
Mm-hmm.
of you. And he's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm on
Yeah.
board.
Yeah, and I think when you look for a city, man, I think he's talking about the new heavens.
Yeah.
It's very possible. Looking for a city whose builder and maker was God. I mean, it was God promised it. It was the fulfillment of the promise, really, through Jesus. So
Yeah,
who knows?
and regardless, I mean, even if it was an actual city, think about it this way: him being a nomad,
Right.
him traveling from place to place, he didn't have a city he was going to, so he was looking for somewhere that only God could take him.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that
a lot
thought.
of cool stuff.
Verse number 11 says this: by faith, Sarah herself also received strength to conceive seed, and she bore a child when she was past the age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Of course, Sarah having Isaac, God came and she had that baby when she was, 90 years old, and Abraham was 100 years old. And it was her, I love that last phrase, she judged him faithful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have faith because I know who I'm trusting.
Yeah.
That's the idea
For sure.
of verse number 11. Verse number 12, therefore from one man, and him as good as dead, were born as many as the stars of the sky, and multitude innumerable as the sand which is by the seashore. Of course, talking about Abraham and Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Verse number 13, these all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, were assured them, embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. That verse can be tricky, I think, sometimes to us when we read it, but when you just think about it this way, God promised Abraham and Sarah, I'm going to bless you and I'm going to bring about many nations from you. They never saw that promise fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
But in faith, they believed God
Yep.
and took those steps that God asked them to
They
take.
were assured of them and embraced
Yeah.
the promise.
They embraced the promise. And that was just a faith decision. Verse 14, for those who say such things declare plainly that they seek a homeland. And truly, if they had called to mind that country from which they had come out, they would have had opportunity to return. But now they desire a better, that is, a heavenly country.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. Oh,
Good stuff.
there's your connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just the fact is they believed, even though they hadn't seen.
Yeah.
They believed that God could.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on these verses?
Man. So much there. Man, just with the story of Abraham and Sarah, I think they're just my brain just going a million miles, but I love the idea that just Abraham's life, it was just faith step after faith step after faith step. And maybe by way of back to Jason's message on last Wednesday, talking about people respect you in your strengths, but they relate to you in your weaknesses.
Yeah. Isn't that a great step?
That was really good, really good. With Abraham, I think we can respect and relate.
Right.
And that's because when we look at the life of Abraham, he is a man who is known for being a man of faith. That was like what defined him. That's who he was. But as by way of relating, he was not a man of no blunders, or like he wasn't a man that had no issues, no faith. There's actually multiple times where he just, the faith that he was supposed to be known for having, he didn't have it, and then he decided to do things on his own and to make things happen, or to leave and go down to Egypt, or to lie about his wife because he was scared. All this type stuff that I think when you look at the life of Abraham, it's encouraging because number one, it shows the benefit of living a life of faith and just simply trusting God in the little steps, and just emulating him in the fact of, hey, I'm going to trust God and look for a city. Yeah. Because that promise that Abraham looked for, guess what? We're looking for it too. Yeah. We're looking for this city whose builder and maker is God. Yeah. We're looking for a heavenly country. Yeah. So we can we can follow in the steps of Abraham, but we can also relate with him and realize, hey, he's not perfect, neither are we. But let's choose to live a life of faith.
I love that thought, because I think sometimes we think about faith and perfection, and we don't realize like that's, I mean, we're going to get into a bunch of people at the end of chapter 11 that it's like, why are they in the hall of faith? Like, I can't believe that. And yet it's not because of who they were, it's because of who their faith was in. But I have this challenge for us today. I was looking for the verses you were, talking about Abraham's imperfection. Whenever I hear the story of Abraham and Sarah and their faith, the one verse that comes to me is, it's after Sarah had Abraham have a child with Hagar. And God said, no, that's not the son of promise. Right. I want you to have a child with your wife, with Sarah. And his name will be Isaac. And and Sarah, the Bible says that Sarah laughed. Right. She had already been given the promise. So that's why I don't want to disassociate the imperfection. Right. Because when we read Hebrews 11, verse number, what is that? Verse number 11, that Sarah by faith believed the promise. It's like, but wait, she laughed. Right. The second time it was given. Right. But here's what was said, and I love this. In Genesis chapter 18, verse number 13, it says, "And the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? Saying, shall I surely bear a child since I am old?" And here's the question. I love it.
Is anything too hard?
Is anything too hard for the Lord?
That's good.
Like I genuinely, I heard a message, 21 years ago. I heard a message, the title of it was, "Is anything too hard for God?" And I remember at that time in mine and my wife's life, in our finances, like we were broke. And we were struggling with what was next. We were just about to graduate with my master's degree and didn't know what was coming. And I remember we had these conversations often about like, what are we going to do? And how are we going to pay for rent? And how are we... And we heard that message, and I remember, I can recall it, that we left that night and we both were like, okay, like, all right, this is a nail it down moment. And I wish I could say I've always believed it. But unfortunately, I think we all struggle with that imperfection, like Sarah, like Abraham, where we're like, I don't know, can he? Like, can God really do that? And I always, whenever I hear Abraham and Sarah, my mind goes back to that message and that statement: is anything too hard for the Lord? And so I want to kind of bring this to a close by bringing you a challenge as a listener, and even my own heart tonight, or today. Now you know when we're recording this. This morning, as you think about the day, I want to ask you, what is it in your life that you've been saying God can't? We all do that, right? Yesterday was relinquish control. Last episode, relinquish control. Sometimes we relinquish control and we still think, he's not going to. And I'm not saying that faith is the ticket, right? Oh man, I believe God can give me $1 million. I believe it. I have faith in it. No, the idea is there's a lot of areas of our life that God says, can you trust me with this? And we say, yeah, God, I can, but I don't think you can. Does that make sense? And so I just want to ask you, as a listener, as someone watching, traveling through Hebrews with us, what is there in your life lately that you've been saying, God, I know you want to. I know you want me to, but I don't think you can. God, you can't do this. So I don't want that to be a repeat from yesterday's episode, but I think there's this faith is relinquishing control and believing God can. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any thoughts that you want to add to that?
No, I think it's when I think of the story of Abraham and Isaac, with him going up the mountain and sacrificing, again, another faith step in Abraham's life. Initially, people can look at it and be like, how could Abraham believe that, I think he'll even bring it up later that he was going to possibly just
next episode
resurrect him or something. And I think it's because he'd already seen God work a miracle. He'd already, it wasn't the first time God had done something and brought life
in Isaac.
Yeah. It wasn't the first time God brought life from death. It was that verse there we said, the deadness, they were as good as dead.
Yeah.
One man, him as good as dead. Yeah. And out of the man
such a good thought.
Who was as good as dead, God brought life. In baby Isaac. So when God called him to sacrifice Isaac, but yet Isaac would be the one who would be the promise through him, Abraham's like, at that point, I got to relinquish control because I have no idea what's going on. But I trust because I've already seen God do it. Yeah. And if he's done it before, he can do it again.
Yeah. So, well, as a listener, when watching today, I ask you one question. Close with it. Is anything too hard for the Lord? And hopefully you answer it with a resounding no. There's nothing too hard for God. So why do I make it so hard to trust him? All right, let's choose today. Choose to trust. Choose to relinquish control and believe that God can. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.